Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 16 to 20.
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति हयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थः नाकृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्धव्यपाश्रयः तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पूरुषः कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्तिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि.
In this chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, entitled as Karma Yoga, we have completed up to shloka number 16. In today's class, we will see from 17. Before that, a little bit of summary of what we have done so far. In the beginning of this chapter, Arjuna was terribly confused after listening to Sri Krishna. He said, I am not understanding what you are trying to communicate. You seem to be praising knowledge, yet you are forcing me to do this terrible action of fighting against my kith and kin. So I am confused. If you are praising knowledge, why should I do action? Should I not be pursuing knowledge? Because Arjuna said so. He wants to give up action. He couldn't face this challenge. He wanted to run away. So then Sri Krishna said, Arjuna, knowledge is only for people who are already evolved, whose mind has developed vairagya, detachment with reference to worldly possessions and enjoyments. So a mind which is free from all the preoccupations is a very important qualification to gain the knowledge. Only a mind that is free from all the preoccupations can absorb the knowledge and reflect upon that knowledge and bring about vairagya more and more so that it can get into deeper study, reflection, and soak itself in that knowledge and attain enlightenment. Therefore, he said, in this world, there is both extroverted people and introverted people. For extroverted people, action is the path or means, and for introverted people, knowledge is the means. In other words, there is only one path. But the path is twofold. In the beginning, when you are extroverted, you need to follow action, meaning Karma Yoga. Because when you perform Karma Yoga, you attain Chitta Shuddhi. You purify your mind, and you also attain through Upasana Yoga you attain Chitta Ekagrita. So you have to follow Karma Yoga and then Upasana, and then you will, having brought your mind to single pointedness, you can focus more into the study, reflection, and then realize the self through knowledge. Knowledge is the only solution to get rid of the ignorance. Ignorance of the self can only be removed through knowledge of the self. But to gain the knowledge of the self, you need to be qualified. You need to be first and foremost be little bit introverted. Therefore, Arjuna, you need to do action. And nobody can remain without action even for a moment, because everybody will be forced to do action, as every one of us are nothing but a bundle of vasanas. We are all bundle of inner temperament, nature, vasanas. It will not allow us to sit quiet. Now, if we suppress our desires, vasanas, and don't do any action, and mentally keep ruminating over the objects of the world, we become hypocrites. We will be frustrated individuals. Rather than, enjoying life, we'll be more and more frustrated when we control our organs of action, but mentally indulge in the worldly thoughts and desires. Therefore, what you're supposed to do, you are better off controlling your organs of perception through which the world enters. Practice sense control, mind control, and do the action for the higher purpose. And that is what is called Karma Yoga. That is what he said. If you do like that, you will excel. Because when you perform Karma Yoga, what happens is, you will also achieve material success in the world, and you will also exhaust vasanas and evolve spiritually. And then he said, from the very beginning through the Vedas, I have declared, meaning Ishvara, the Lord, had declared. Because Vedas are directly given by enlightened souls who have merged their egos with that one reality. So therefore, all the Vedas are nothing but Vakyas given by self-realized souls who have merged themselves with Brahman. So it is directly given by Bhagavan or Brahman, and it is not coming from any individual. Therefore, he says, from the very beginning through Vedas, I have declared that you have to propitiate yourself through yajna. Yajna means sacrificial activities, not just fire worship. Fire worship is only a symbolic thing that helps us to understand the meaning and get on to living our life performing sacrificial activities, not selfish. So there he said, you got to do yajna activities and then achieve success in life, and also develop Chitta Shuddhi and go towards enlightenment. And then he said, through yajna, you will be taking care of the ecology, and ecology will bless you with prosperity. And your mind also will be calm and composed, and you will be moving spiritually. Therefore, he said, Parasparam Bhavayantaha. May you serve the gods, and may the gods serve you. Gods here means, it is given in plural, which means what? The manifested powers. It is nothing but the divine powers. So, which means you have to keep yourself in unison with the ecological powers. Not assume ego and then just work for yourself. And then he said, Sattvic people function like that. They eat the remnants of sacrifice. First of all, they pitch up a higher goal. They dedicate their actions for that higher purpose. And then whatever comes out of such an activity, they share with everybody and they also partake. Whereas Rajasic person acts selfishly and gets agitation. Tamasic person, without contributing, only wants to sit and enjoy. And he was compared to a thief, meaning he would have lost his peace of mind. Both the Rajasic and Tamasic fellows will not be really peaceful or enjoying the world. Only the Sattvic person will be enjoying the world. Why? Because the Sattvic person follows Dharma Chakra. And then he talked about that in verse number 14 and 15. He said, Annat Bhavanti Bhutani, meaning the food comes, from food comes beings. Where does the food come from? Rain. And where does the rain come from? He said, Yajna activity. And where does the yajna activity come from? Where is it mentioned in the Vedas? Brahma. And who has given the Vedas? Brahman. So the source of Vedas is Brahman. And yajna is mentioned in the Vedas, in the Veda Purva Bhaga. For what purpose? Chitta Shuddhi and material prosperity. As you are enjoying the world and achieving material prosperity, your mind also develops detachment from the worldly objects and beings. You don't crave for them more and more. See, what is happening in us who have not studied the scriptures and living our life, we are all getting caught in that maze. That is what is happening. We do action, some of us are doing, maybe some people are not doing. Whoever is doing, they are only increasing more and more vasanas. Their desires are increasing. How much ever they achieve, they are not happy. They want more and more and more. They're increasing more and more vasanas. Not happy with what they've achieved and craving for more, and also not spiritually evolving. Whereas if you perform yajna, you can achieve both material prosperity, which is what is mentioned as food, meaning productivity, and also you can achieve Brahman. Yajna is the center. From Brahman comes yajna, which will lead you to material prosperity and mental peace, which will lead you to Brahman back again. So, therefore, he said you must do yajna. But if you don't listen to this and then not practice yajna way of life, yajna lifestyle, then what lifestyle would you follow? You would only be following selfish, self-centered, sense-centered living. Isn't it? Indriya Ramaha. Meaning what? Your whole life will be kav, piyo, maja karo. Nothing else. Just to indulge in the world, enjoy, acquire, enjoy. Nothing bigger. And such a person, he says, is living in vain. Now, in fact, a person who has no higher goal, higher purpose, lacks energy. And secondly, the selfishness brings only agitation, discontentment, frustration, leading us nowhere, even in the world. It appears as if we are acquiring more, and we imagine that acquisition is growth. And what we really don't understand is that kind of acquisition is actually swelling and not growth. So therefore, he says it's a waste of time. You're wasting your time in simply living life only to indulge in the senses. He's not saying do not contact the world with your senses and enjoy. In fact, to enjoy, you need renunciation. You need detachment. In fact, in Isavasya Upanishad, the very first mantra, he says, may you enjoy through renunciation. Kena tyaktena bhunjita. Unless and until you enjoy the possessiveness, you can't enjoy. Sorry, you renounce the possessiveness, you can't enjoy. You buy a car. I see a lot of people, they bought the car and then they do puja, which is all fine. And they've been driving that car for more than a month without even removing the ribbon which is there on the bonnet. And also the polythene cover on the seat, which shows that you are so possessive. Right? It's your choice. We are not saying what you should do. And any small scratch, you stop enjoying. Whereas the other fellows who come in your car, they are not possessive. It's not their car. They are not attached. They enjoy the ride. They say, excellent, yeah, very good car. Superb shock absorbers. They keep complimenting you. Whereas you are sitting and you are getting agitated. Why? Because of your possessiveness. So as a person who has no higher purpose in life, simply drains the energy in the senses, thinking that he is actually helping himself or herself. The person is doing such activity. Why? Because they think they are doing good for themselves. Whereas actually, it's a total waste of time. What are you doing? You're converting all your physical energy, mental energy, verbal energy, everything into money. and that money you exchange for stuff, isn't it? So basically, your energy is what is now manifested as the objects. Now you have to contact the object and enjoy. When you contact the object and enjoy, some little bit of your object will go. So then you start suffering. Will somebody take it away? That possessiveness, fear is there always. Will somebody take it away? Will this enjoyment last? You yourself see that the enjoyment has started decreasing in the second contact, third contact. Without it, so therefore, what are we really achieving? By merely living for senses. Therefore, he says it's a total waste of time. If you don't listen to this, you must benefit yourself by performing yajna. This is what he said. So in 16, he cautioned us. What happens to you when you don't follow this dharma chakra? If you start living selfishly. Now, in 17, 18, he's going to talk about how it will benefit you if you follow this dharma chakra. It will help you to attain the highest enlightenment. That is what he's going to talk about. It is going to bring you that which you have been looking for. What is that all of us look for? Happiness, enjoyment, pleasure, contentment that is uninterrupted. The sense pleasures, the enjoyment that comes from the senses are not uninterrupted. It's very, very temporary. So, but actually what we are looking for is uninterrupted enjoyment, happiness, permanent joy. How will you get there? Only by following yajna, he says, because that will help you to get back to yourself, and that is your residential address. See, in life, we should know where does happiness reside. We are all working for happiness. All of us want happiness. Whether we do something or don't do something, what is that for? Pravriti and nivritti. Doing, not doing. For what? Happiness only. Those people who have come to this class, they believe that coming to the class will bring them joy. Whether it actually does or not, only they'll have to tell. But they believe so. So therefore they've come here. Others whom you have informed and they are running away, Baba, no class. We don't want any class. Bhagavad Gita. Bahut ho gaya. Enough. Why? They believe it will not give them joy. Something else will give. So they have left this. They are going away from this. It's their choice, right? So, pravriti, nivritti, whatever it is, whether it's watching a movie or doing some other action, is everything only meant for happiness. Now, since we are all looking for happiness, should we not know what is the residential address of happiness? If you want to come and meet me, you should know where I reside. Simply, if you go searching for me in Delhi, will you find me? You're not going to find me. So, you should know what is my residential address. Isn't it? And if I'm looking for happiness, first thing I should have actually asked myself is, where is this happiness? Nobody questions. Nobody questions this. The book written by Swamiji, one of the most important books, is the book called Vedanta Treatise, The Eternities. Outstanding book. Swamiji took more than 20 years to write that book. Too much of reading, reflection, and research. And then he brought the essence of Vedanta from all angles, practical level, the deeper philosophy, everything, following the fundamental principle of education, which is to move from the known to the unknown. It is not something different from what Bhagavad Gita says. But in Bhagavad Gita, it's a conversation between Arjuna and Sri Krishna. So that's why you find, in the beginning itself, he gives the highest knowledge in the second chapter. Then he gets on to Karma Yoga. Whereas in Vedanta treatise, he will first talk about action. Then only he'll go to wisdom. So there is a sequence of thought for everybody. Here it is particularly to Arjuna, isn't it? So therefore, in the book Vedanta Treatise, the very first chapter, where he talks about the role of Vedanta, he mentions all this happiness. Where is it? How to find it? Because that is what we are all looking for. We are all thinking that it is here, there, and we see somebody else running. Our parents, our grandparents, our people in the society, whether in the west or east, wherever it is, you find everybody is running after the material stuff. So therefore, they also think, imagine without questioning, that it is there in the material stuff. But then, many of them are very successful. They've been running after the material stuff and they've been very successful. When they started, they had nothing and they worked hard and they've achieved a lot of things materially. But in spite of it, they're still running. And you ask them, Arey Baba, where are you running? What are you running after? Happiness. And do you know where it is residing? Arey, I have no time for all that to think. Everybody is running this side, in this direction. I am also running. Isn't that what is happening in the world? Should we not pause and ask, where is this happiness? Physically I am running, mentally I am running, intellectually I am running. Everybody is running. From the time I wake up till the time I go to bed, run. Physical, mental, intellectual. All angles I am running. Have I found it? As a 20-year-old found it? As a 50-year-old found it? 80-year-old? 100? 150? 150 nobody lives now. Those days maybe. So the point is, where is this happiness? How to find that? When will I say, yes, I have arrived? Should I not know what will bring me that which I have been searching for? Is it knowing that the wise thing to do? See, in the Mahabharata only Bhagavad Gita is given. In the same Mahabharata, Yudhishthira, after conquering the Kauravas and after he is coronated, when he has become the king, he finds himself so disturbed. After achieving everything, at least he should be peaceful, but he is not peaceful. So he tells Sri Krishna, please tell me how to find the peace. I am not happy. He said, let's go and ask Bhishma Pitamaha. He's lying on the bed of arrows. He's the man who's lived so many years. It's better to listen to him. He takes him there. And then Bhishma Pitamaha is talking about Vishnu Sahasranama. He gives Vishnu Sahasranama, which was already given before, right? So he's giving that Vishnu Sahasranama. In that, when Yudhishthira asks Bhishma, he asks beautifully few questions. He's asking, Kimekam Daivatam Loke Kimbapyekam Parayanam Stuvantakam Kamarchanta Prapnuyurmana Vashu O Dharma Sarva Dharmanam Avata Paramomata. Beautifully he asks questions. He says, in short, in a nutshell, what knowing which nothing remains to be known? What attaining which nothing remains to be attained? Which means what? He's talking about that ultimate happiness. Residential address kya hai bhai? Arey, Bhishma ji, what is the residential address of happiness? After getting there, nothing remains to be achieved. After sitting on this throne, so much difficulty. Isn't it? All kinds of fellows they have to deal with. Duryodhana, Karna, Dusasana, Bhishma, Drona, how many people? Jayadratha, all these people they had to deal with and then establish dharma, achieve success, sit on the throne. After all that, he still finds himself agitated. Meaning, still there is some lack. Still there is something that he feels that there has to be something more to be achieved. What is that? He's asking. So then Bhishma Pitamaha, he starts off Vishnu Sahasranam. Vishwam Vishnuhu. Vishwam Vishnurva Shatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. That's how Vishnu Sahasranama starts. 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. In other words, which is your original self. That is your destination. That is where all your physical pursuits end. All your mental running after things ends. Mental agitation subside. That is where your intellectual curiosity ends. So therefore, I need to get there. How? Yajna will help you to get there, he says. In verse number 17 and 18. And once I have reached there, then in my mind, there is no lack. I have come to rest. And then what happens? There's a lot of confusion. Once I come to that rest, then I will become totally useless to the world. This is another confusion a lot of people have. He's going to clarify. No. In fact, you will become absolutely useful. You will be having no stress strain, no compulsions from within or without, and you will be freely acting. This is what he's talking about in 17 and 18. Let's read that. Verse number 17 of chapter 3.
यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते.
But the man who rejoices in the self. In the previous shloka he said, one who rejoicing in the senses. Here he is saying, the man who rejoices in the self, Atma, the center. Sense is the periphery. Self is the center. So the man who rejoices in the self is satisfied in the self, is content in the self alone. For him, there is nothing to be done. Tasya karyam na vidyate. There is nothing to be done by that person. Very important shloka to be understood correctly. This verse number 17 and 18 again, we have to understand correctly. Most of the shlokas are misunderstood. Firstly, nobody has any time to study Gita. If at all few people study, we all misunderstand. We have to properly study. So what is he saying in this shloka? He is saying the man who is identified with the self is rejoicing in the self. One who is doing yajna, we already discussed these things. He will be exhausting vasanas. When you exhaust vasanas, you will be moving closer and closer to the self. When you have exhausted all your vasanas, you have become one with the self. You remember that formula? God plus vasanas or within bracket desires. Vasanas are unmanifested desires. Desires are manifested vasanas. So God plus vasanas equals human beings. Human beings minus vasanas equals God or divinity. And here, what he's saying is, when a person performs yajna, which he's been already mentioning, and what happens to that person? He's not rejoicing in the senses. He's following dharmacharya. Through purification process, he develops detachment and gains knowledge. And through that knowledge, he comes to the self. He realizes the self. And that person, he says, is rejoicing in the self. Atma Ratihi. Ratihi means reveling. He is reveling in the self. We are all reveling in the world, worldly objects. And as we are reveling, fear comes of losing it. But when you are reveling in the self, there is no question of losing it. Nobody else can take it away from you. Isn't it? See, when you, even relatively speaking, knowledge cannot be stolen. In whatever field you have knowledge, wisdom, that cannot be stolen. Supposing you've written something on a particular subject and somebody stole that and they released it as book, let's say in their name, no problem. You can rewrite. You don't have to copy. If that fellow has to do, he will probably copy your book. But since you are the author who wrote that, you can rewrite it again. No problem. Knowledge cannot be stolen. If you have love, that cannot be taken away. Your attachment is possible. Love cannot be taken away. So there are things which are much more valuable than the material stuff in the world. Have we earned them? That's the question. And in that, when you go deeper and deeper, the real thing that we need to really gain is Atma, the self. So he says, Atma Ratihi. He revels in the self. And then he says, Atma Triptaha, is satisfied in the self. And then he says, Atmani evacha santushta. Tushta means enjoy, content. We have already studied this in the second chapter when he talked about self-realized soul. When Arjuna asked, talk about the profile of a perfect human being. Sthita prajnasya kavasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhasheta kim masita vrajeta kim. He asked, Arjuna asked Sri Krishna, and then Sri Krishna answered, Jahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmani eva atmana tushtaha sthita prajnas tadochyate. So the tushtaha, we have already studied word tushtaha, contented, absolutely contented. Our contentment, our pleasure, everything is dependent on the objects and beings outside. What they are talking about us, their intellectual evaluation about us, the material wealth that keeps coming to us or with us. The diamond that we are wearing is what is giving us that confidence today. The wealth in the bank is what is giving us that confidence today. Your confidence is not coming from within. It is coming from the external source, external factors, which are all temporary. If your joy is coming from the fact that your skin is tight and smooth, and you look young, beautiful, how long can you be retaining that happiness? Not long. If you have money, you can use all the Botox injection and this and that. Even then, how long? It's all temporary. So the only thing that cannot be taken away from you is Atma. That's your original nature. And when you get to that level, when you reach Atma, through this yajna, by following the Dharma Chakra, you will purify your vasanas. You will be having a lot of detachment. Then you will be qualified for knowledge. And through knowledge of the self, you attain the self. You become the self. You wake up. You become enlightened. You are aware about your origin, about who you are. And then you will be in absolute enjoyment. It's not something that is dependent on something. That's what he's saying. So, at physical level, 3 times he mentions, Atmaratihi, Atmatriptaha, Atmani Santushtaha. Atmani Evacha Santushtaha. 3 times he's put in Ratihi, Triptaha, Tushtaha. 3 times means it could be taken as physical, mental, intellectual enjoyment. There's nothing wrong enjoying at the physical level, mental level, intellectual level. But being dependent upon it, that's the problem. So here he's saying, once you reach the self, your dependence completely goes. You become absolutely self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-poised. So Ramtita says, your only, the word only has to be emphasized. Your only obligation in life is to be self-poised, self-pleased. We are not self-pleased. We are not self-poised. We become so disturbed and agitated if we can't find the mobile phone for 5 minutes. Arey Baba, I kept it here only. Who's taken it away? Mera phone, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? You need the phone. We are so bored with ourselves. We are not happy with ourselves. Something or the other has to be there. So much dependence. So as you evolve spiritually, you will become more and more self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-confident. Today, you are confiding on something else. It's a dependent life. We already studied about Satya Mithya concept, isn't it? Now, as you get closer and closer to Satya, the qualities of Satya will reflect in you, should reflect in you. See, when you put an iron ball, imagine a shot put ball made of iron into a furnace which is burning at 1400, 1500 degrees Celsius. What will happen to that iron ball? It will become fire eventually, isn't it? As you get closer and closer and closer to Satya from Mithya, the qualities of Satya will reflect it. From the absolute point of view, Satya has no qualities. Don't come and ask me tomorrow. Sir, you said it is Nirguna Tattvam. It is saying qualities. What I am trying to say is, Satya means it's independent, isn't it? Mithya means dependent. We explained all this. Dependent existence is Mithya. Independent existence is Satya. We explained that with the example of clay and pots, gold and ornaments. In this example, gold is Satya. Gold can remain as gold without being made into ornaments. It is not dependent on the ornaments, the forms and names. Similarly, clay can remain by itself without being made into pots, without manifesting as these various forms and names. It can independently exist. But can the ornaments exist without gold? Can the form and name exist without gold, without clay? Not possible. So the forms and names are dependent on the reality, which is independent. So when you get closer and closer to the self, you become more and more independent. You become more and more free. That is real spirituality. Please understand that. Spirituality is not, getting stuck in a cult. A lot of people in my classes, sometimes they ask, sir, there is another Swami coming to Delhi next week for 4-5 days. I'm attending your classes, as you know, for so many years. I also follow another Swami's lectures online, and that Swami is coming to town, to Delhi. So I want to attend that personally, and I also want to inform other class members in the group. Can I announce? Do I have your permission? Well, please go ahead and do. You understand? As long as you understand, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. Only reason, if at all we say listening to so many people, it's up to you. You should not get confused. That's all. If you're following somebody else and that's helping you, please follow. You don't have to come here. Idea is to evolve spiritually. Each one should become free, independent. Guru should be independent of the students. Students should become independent of the guru. If both are dependent on each other, forming cult here, it is defeating the very purpose for which we are studying the Gita. In the end, Sri Krishna says, Etechasi tatakuru. You go your way, I'll go my way. Whatever has to be said, it is said. You do what you want. Huh? In the academy, in our ashram, Swamiji is not the one who started all the other centers. Yes, of course, he started the Vedanta Academy, that center in Pune, ashram. After that, students went and they started different centers in different parts of the world. All that Swamiji can do is given the knowledge. And that is enough. If you have everything else without knowledge, that's not enough. But if you have knowledge and you don't have anything else, it's okay. If you have other things, it's fine. But if you don't have, it's okay. All the centers started by the students. They went there just with knowledge. And then started talking. Same thing, Swami Chinmayanandaji. When he came from Himalayas. He came from the Himalayas down. And then you see now so many centers are there. Chinmaya Mission. How? It's not that he came back and started calling one by one. Hey, Baba, I've come. All of you are my contacts. Now help me to start a center. No, just knowledge. Because you will be confident from within. You will be self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-poised, self-pleased. That's not the situation today. Ajna activity will take us to the knowledge, and that knowledge will take us to this level. That's what he's explaining. Beautifully he says, Atma Ratihi, Atma Triptaha, Atma Tushtaha. Meaning what? I can be happy with myself. That doesn't mean I hate the objects. Baba, don't give me mobile phone. I'm getting agitated. No. Don't put money in my pocket. I'll get agitated. No. Whether it is empty pocket or something in it, I am able to be contented because my contentment is not coming from what I have. My contentment is coming from what am I, what I am. You understand? Whether I have something or whatever I have, with that I'm able to be contented. And aspire for more. Because when I work like that, when I function like that, when I'm deeply contented, see, this is another issue that happens in life, I forget whose quotation it is, and I don't know the quotation also by heart. Memorize it. Not memorize the quotation. It says, to be able to achieve something, you need to be discontented. Now, it needs thinking. What they're saying is, fellows who are in comfort zone, they won't achieve anything. Huh? They say, if you plant a sapling under a big tree, it won't grow. This is what happens. Once you fall into a comfort zone, you don't grow. So there has to be some discomfort, then you grow. Therefore, that person has said so. But actually speaking, if there is discomfort and you work with a desire, you're working like a beggar. What will happen is you'll probably achieve more, but you will continue to be a beggar. See, the beauty is, there are so many kings and very rich people, highly agitated. There are so many poor people who are happy. I'm not saying all poor people are happy. I'm not saying all rich people are unhappy. So therefore, it has got nothing to do with richness or poverty. It is to do with something else. Isn't it? So, it is not these objects and beings of the world. It is the self within. So therefore, how to be contented? And when I'm contented, out of contentment I act. Because I'm also able to see my potential. Right? And I have no expectations with absolute gratitude. I just express my potential. That is what he's explaining in these shlokas. So when I become absolutely contented, I don't become useless. But when we talk about contentment, we also need to necessarily talk about something else called pig's contentment. That is falling into a comfort zone. Pig is very comfortable in slush. Pig doesn't want to put in any more. Why should I? Just let me live here. I'm happy. So we all fall into a comfort zone externally. But what he is talking about here is not that. He's talking about the self, where you reach a state of absolute independence, zero dependence upon anything, material, physical, emotional, intellectual, at all level you become free. And that is what he's talking about. Atma Ratihi, reveling. It is not going to be interrupted. He already said, no, like an ocean. In the ocean, so much water is pouring in every day, so much water is evaporating. Kuch nahi hota hai ocean. Similarly, everything happens to that person also. Exactly like how it's happening in your life. A lot of things coming, a lot of things going. In spite of it, the joy is coming from the source, not from the outside factors. That is all I'm trying to say. If you have memorized, you are dependent on your memory. You are so tensed. Hey Baba, please don't delay the exam. Give me the question paper right now. Because before I forget, let me write. Let me vomit everything. Because I've memorized. Memory, you can lose it. You can forget. Now, if you have understood the concept, no tension. If they postpone the exam also, no problem. No problem. Nahi. Suddenly they announce without telling you in advance, no problem. You can write. So what is important is understanding. In fact, now in the new VT book, Vedanta Treatise book, Swamiji has removed those questionnaires. In the earlier editions, after every 3 or 4 chapters, there used to be questions. And when we study in the ashram, we are given exams. We can keep the book and write the exam. The questions are there. You can sit. Everybody can sit together, have the book and write exam. All that Swamiji wants to see is, have you understood and written it in your own words? If you simply copy the book, obviously, that is not what he wants. You have to originally understand it, meaning put in effort and understand, and then bring it out. Then you don't have to carry Bhagavad Gita with you wherever you go. When Arjuna suddenly asked, he didn't say well in advance, you better bring your Vedas, your other books, because I'm going to ask you questions on the battlefield. Did he say that? Suddenly he fell into that emotional stupor and then he's asking questions. And Sri Krishna is talking. From where is he talking? From his own life. He's living it. He's the personification of that knowledge. And that's what he's talking about. Atma Ratihi, Atma Triptaha, Atma Tushtaha. So, physically, not dependent on anything. Mentally, no dependence. Intellectually, no dependence. And the material stuff that is there, contented with what I have. So, because my attention is upon the potential, not upon the stuff around me. There's so many people who were cheated, They were cheated. The company was taken away by somebody else. But they said, no, nothing big, no problem. They started another one. They grew bigger than the other fellow. That self-confidence is there. From where is it coming? And they don't fear of losing. They keep trying something new. And then some new business, maybe they lost. Again they'll come. They are not bothered about the fear, the success and failure. Their joy is not coming from success and failure. Their joy is there in just expressing themselves. That's what he's talking about. Therefore, they are reveling. I know one gentleman, I don't want to reveal the name. He was a CEO of a very big company. And those days, they used to give him salaries in checks only. Nowadays, all directly goes into your account. Those checks are given. And checks, I think 3 months or 6 months validity it has. Before that, you have to deposit with the bank. Otherwise, a new check has to be issued. And this person never deposits check. He doesn't remember. He forgot that he got salary. He's going on working happily. And the accountant comes and reminds him, sir, the check we gave you, date is just few more days there. Please put it. You give it to us, we'll put it for you. So he enjoys acting freely, expressing the nature. That is called reveling. If they come and do this class, so many. I hope the class members reduce so that I can stop class. I'm committed. If I talk like that, without any happiness from within, it will tell upon the way I'm talking. Isn't it? So that's what he's saying. Atma ratihi, Atma tushtaha, Atma triptaha. By himself alone. So he says first he's reveling because he's not dependent. And he's happy with himself, not based on what he has, because he sees the potential. That contentment is there. And the rejoicing is there because, I've achieved something that cannot be taken away from me anymore. That satisfaction of having achieved what has to be achieved. There is something else. Winning and losing doesn't matter. You win the heart of people. Sometimes, in fact, the match between England and New Zealand, World Cup finals, last time, I think, had some funny, rule. They said if the match ends up in tie, then whoever had scored more number of boundaries will win. On that basis, New Zealand won. England won. England won on that basis. Otherwise, both had scored the same number of runs. In fact, New Zealand scored the same number of runs with less wickets. England scored the same number of runs using more wickets. But they happened to score more boundaries, so they were declared winners. But actually, everybody was appreciating the New Zealanders also because they had done their best. So that satisfaction is there in doing what has to be done, in achieving what has to be achieved, in arriving at your own self. That's what he says. Atma ratihi, reveling in that bliss within, Khandanandam. And Atma tushtaha, contented. Doesn't matter how much ever he has, but focusing upon that infinite potential, therefore no fear, absolutely contented. And then Atma triptaha, satisfied. That person alone is satisfied. Nobody else is satisfied. Everybody else is disturbed. There's still more to be achieved. Still more to be achieved. No. Either absolute satisfaction. Why? I have arrived. There remains nothing more to be achieved. In other words, I don't have to run to please anybody, to achieve anything. Now I express myself freely. Isn't that what, in a way, people are trying to become financially independent? When I become financially independent, I will do what I would love to do. It is not becoming financially independent that you can do what you love to do. You have to become essentially independent. And only you can do what you love to do. We already discussed this. No, there is no such thing as financial independence. You have to become free from the desires. Until then, how will you become financially independent? How much ever you have, it's not enough. So he says this person has achieved that. He is satisfied, he is contented, he is enjoying. Nobody else. And that is what he's saying in this shloka. He says such a person is reveling, and for him there is nothing to be done. For him there is nothing to be done. Does not mean that he will not do. Please understand. There is no compulsion to do anything. He doesn't have to get up to go to work. Yet he will get up and go to work. Out of joy, not out of compulsion. These things we'll discuss in detail next week. Let's conclude now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.